10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Hey Xtreme team, that's right, we're doing another countdown. Today we're looking at the top 10 Prime 1 Studios 1/3 DC pieces. Welcome to the Xtreme channel. My name is Mr. X. About 4 or 5 months ago, I started doing some countdowns as it relates to Xtreme collectibles, and people really started to respond to them. Not only are the viewers big fans, but a shout out to any YouTubers that want to copy my ideas using my almost exact words but claim they don't know who I am. If you want to go ahead and get less views and copy some of my upcoming ideas, I'm going to do Transformers and then video game statues next. Just a heads up for you. So I'm actually going to categorize this countdown into 3 different categories today. The first category we're going to look at is not going to be in any order, but these are Prime 1 Studios statues in the 1/3 scale DC pieces that I have formerly owned. They're obviously not on the countdown because I sold them. While many of them were great pieces, I don't think they're in the top 10. Second category we're going to look at, which we are going to count down, is my most anticipated statues. There's actually 11 of them coming in, some very soon. And then last, we'll look at the top 10 Prime 1 1/3 scale DC pieces that I own. So let's kick it off with what I used to own. And again, no particular order. I started collecting the Justice League from the Justice League movie with this Cyborg. In my opinion, this was the best piece of all of them. He was fantastic, the edition size was really low, but he just wasn't a good standalone piece because I don't have any other movie pieces, so I ended up getting rid of him. And the same can be said about this Aquaman. Wasn't a huge fan of the portrait, I think it was more the hair, but the rest of him was fantastic. I ended up getting rid of him. I liked a lot of the switch outs he had, but he just didn't go with the line. And the third piece in that line I got rid of was the Batfleck, the Ben Affleck Batman. And I got rid of him because he was overscaled. He's a fantastic looking piece, but his head was more of a 1/2 head, 1/2 scale instead of 1/3. So I ended up getting rid of him. I hope they don't make those mistakes on the future pieces. It really pained me to get rid of the Batman Flashpoint. This is an amazing piece. It was one of my favorites. And again, I just wanted to narrow down how many Batman pieces I had in 1/3 scale. You'll see a few more on here I got rid of. And I wasn't really familiar with the storyline. I knew the basics about it, but I actually never read it. I also had the Batman Arkham Origins, and this was the first piece I ever bought from Prime 1. It is awesome. I think it represents Batman as the best Batman without any weird influx to it, but I was a big fan of this piece. I did, however, end up selling it. Also, Deadman. I got this after I read Batman Damned, and realistically, I think this piece is more of a work of art because there's not a lot of ties to the character. He's actually annoying in a lot of the comics, but this makes him look badass. But again, he didn't go with my collection anymore, so I got rid of him. I purchased their Deadshot on one of their sales. I got him for extremely cheap with extremely cheap shipping, and he was magnificently done. But again, I'm getting away from the movie pieces. This is the only piece I had from Suicide Squad, so I didn't want to keep it any longer. And the last piece is the Batman Noel. I also purchased this after reading it. I love the story, I love the imagery, but he just didn't fit in with 8 other Batmans, and I figured one has to go, and since he doesn't blow my skirt up, even though he has done really well, I would get rid of him. So those are pieces I used to own, some very, very good. However, I thought there were better pieces, at least for my collection. So next we're going to look at the 11 pieces I have on order, and we're going to start at number 11 and go down to number 1 from my least anticipated to my most anticipated. Mr. X, does that mean your least anticipated? You don't want it? Kind of. Let's check it out. I bought the tactical suit Batman when I was still collecting the Justice League, and I think this looks better than any of them. However, I probably will end up canceling it, but it is an amazing looking piece. Hopefully he's delayed and I can get my non-refundable deposit back. But I don't know, I might just bring him to the review table. We'll end up seeing. Number 10 is the movie Bane. So I wanted this because I thought that Tom Hardy did an amazing job in the movie. I think the base is boring as hell, but I think the rest of it looks really, really cool. I don't know if he'll fit in well with all my comic statues, so he is also one I am considering getting rid of. Number 9 is the Batman Damned. Now I purchased this as a companion piece from the Joker Damned, which obviously is higher up on the list. I love the skull portrait. So this one I'm also debating if I should cancel or not. I probably will get him in for sure to see him in person, but I just don't need that many Batmans when it comes down to it. You'll see some more on the list. While I don't have a ton of knowledge about Cyborg Superman, I love this because it's like a cross between Terminator and Superman. So I bought him on an impulse buy, and honestly I might end up giving him up. I bet you I'd have more ties to this if I actually knew the source content better. Number 7 is their Harley Quinn. This I'm not on the fence about. Cannot wait to have it. It's going to be the only 1/3 Harley Quinn in my collection. Looks amazing. I'm worried about the size of the base. I know that has pushed a few collectors off, but nonetheless, I think she may be the best Harley Quinn statue out there. Number 6 is the Joaquin Phoenix Joker. I love this movie. This was one of the best movies I'd seen in a long time. I didn't see it in the theaters. I waited till it came out. But a really emotional movie, and I pulled the trigger on this on day one before it even went up on Sideshow. I bought it from Spec Fiction. This looks amazing. It will be a movie statue mixed with comic statues, but I can definitely get past that because the movie was so amazing and his portrayal of Joker was just great. Number 5 should be arriving very soon. It's the Ivy Hush, the Poison Ivy Hush. I got this from Sideshow, so I'm just waiting for that shipping notice. I have a spot already picked out for her. You'll see that in the room tour that I either just did or is coming out in the next few weeks here. But she looks amazing. It will be the only Poison Ivy in the 1/3 scale in my collection. Super excited about the new Batman Hush at number 4. This looks amazing. I love every part of it. And I actually forgot that I owned the old Batman Hush. And I actually got it and I had to return it because I had an issue with it. So I just didn't get a new one, which I'm glad because I like this one even better. I like I like the tribute to the Batcave, so this I think will be the centerpiece in the collection. It'll tie in well with the other characters. Looks awesome. I love all the different switch out heads, especially the toilet paper head. Number 3 is Zod. I can't wait to put this next to Hush Superman. I hope Hush Superman doesn't tower over him too much. Looks amazing. I know the Batman Statue Collector did a review, but I never look at other reviews if I'm getting a piece in. So I can't wait to see some detailed pictures in person. I hate work in progress. But this one I'm very, very excited about. That's why he comes in at number 3. Number 2 is the Joker from Batman Damned, the Bermejo Joker. This will be the 1/1/3 Joker I have in my collection. I've held off on all the other Jokers they've ever released, waiting for something like this to come out. It finally did. Cannot wait. I think this is going to be a grail. It just captures everything I want about Joker. My number 1 most anticipated piece is the Batman Metal Joker Dragon vs. Batman Diorama. I'm worried how big this is going to be.
That's what she said!
But it just looks amazing. I need to get into the metal comics because I also like the Batman Who Laughs statue, which obviously will be in the next list we do. But I need to get more source content about these guys. So now it's time to jump into the pieces that I own. And coincidentally, I own 10, so that's why it's a top 10 countdown. But as you can see, I used to own 10 other ones, and I am getting 11 new ones, maybe. So let's start with number 10. So this is my least favorite. However, not so much least favorite that I haven't sold him. So I still like him quite a bit. But this is the Batman XE. So this is the Freeze Batman. And for this piece right here, I bought this mainly, I ordered it right after I got Mr. Freeze in because I was so impressed with Mr. Freeze. He's higher up on this list. And if I didn't own Mr. Freeze, I would not own this piece. As you can see, I display him without the cape. I like it much better that way. I don't think he's a great standalone piece, but I think when you put him next to Mr. Freeze, he looks awesome. But if I was going to sell one of the 10, this would be the first to go. Number 9 is another video game piece, but this is a great piece whether you know the video game or not because it represents Harvey Dent, aka Two-Face. I'm a big fan of this piece. I remember I got it for a screaming deal, and I think everyone who's seen him in person has a lot of the same feelings about him. The detail they did on him is just amazing. He's kind of an underrated piece. You can actually get him for under retail, and maybe it's because of the lesser popularity of the character why I'm not a huge fan. Number 8 is their old Dark Knight piece. So this isn't their newer one. I love their older one. It looks great, even though it falls into number 8. He's still a big favorite of mine. He's one of the 2 Batmans that I actually kept. And I also don't know the source material very well. I know the basic concepts. I know this is Batman out of retirement, and he's a badass. He uses a gun. He kills people. But I do like this very much. I didn't like the new one. I like the new one quite a bit, especially in the pictures, but I didn't like it enough to purchase 2 of these. Number 7 is the other Batman I kept. It's Batman Beyond. They did a phenomenal job on this. This is a really great piece. I purchased him during one of their sales, so I got him for dirt cheap, like $600 or $700. And he is just striking, even though I haven't played the game. I like it's a different representation of Batman, kind of futuristic. So I believe I will keep both of these 2 Batmans and have the centerpiece, the Hush Batman, like we talked about. Number 6 will be much higher on other people's lists, but it is the Doomsday. So the reason why this isn't higher up on my list, I don't think it's scaled accurately. I think it's too small. And the ironic part of that is, I think if it was bigger, he would be too big. So it's kind of a no-win situation. But the sculpt is phenomenal. The paint is phenomenal. I'm not a huge fan of the pose because it's hard to pose him with other pieces. So I think that's why he falls a little bit lower on the list. So now is the time. We got 5 more. Go ahead and comment, because commenting can win you some free stuff. What you think the number 1 is before we go any further. Number 5, I think, will be surprising to people that it's this high on the list. This is the Killer Croc. This piece is phenomenal. I think it's highly underrated. It's huge, but it is highly underrated, and I love everything they did about this piece. It's one of my favorites, obviously, number 5. I don't think I'll ever get rid of him as long as I keep Batman statues. Very well done by Prime 1 Studios. Killer Croc comes in at number 5. Number 4 is also going to be a surprise to people. I recently reviewed this. The paint and sculpt on this are amazing. There's Scarecrow, again from a video game. Even if you haven't played the video game, he's a great representation of the character. He just looks evil and badass. I like that he doesn't take up too much of a footprint. Very, very cool looking piece. If you have Batman villains in the 1/3 scale, he is definitely a must-have for that collection. Who is their Mr. Freeze? When I reviewed this, at the time I reviewed this, I said I think he's the best licensed piece out there. I think he's been on... Oh, my voice just cracked. I think he's been unseated. However, I still think he's one of the best. He's amazing. The disadvantage to this guy is his size. He is way too big. I don't think he's scaled properly. His base with the ice shards shooting out, making him a pain in the ass to display. That's the only really negative about this piece. Otherwise, I think they've done everything else perfect. I think Superman Hush is the best Superman statue ever made. I think it's the perfect representation of him. I wish it was in 1/4 scale, but I still absolutely love it. It's done so well. The only thing I dislike on him is because he is floating, he appears taller than all the other pieces. So it's kind of awkward when he pairs next to them. But the sculpt, the paint is amazing. Again, I think it's just a fantastic representation of Superman, whether you know the Hush source or not. So if you're doing your math, there's one I've left out. And the reason I think this one came in at number 1 for me is the fact that I think he could be a standalone piece. If I got rid of the rest, he would still look good by himself. So that is the Batman Who Laughs. This is just phenomenally done on every level, and this is what makes me really want to get into the metal comics. And eventually I probably will someday. I wish there was an omnibus, and if there is, let me know in the comments. But Batman Who Laughs is just so phenomenally done. The concept, the paint, the sculpt, they knocked everything out of the park, and that's from someone who doesn't know the character very well, so I can imagine it's even tenfold times people who are really into this character. So that's what I got for you today. So please let me know in the comments if I missed one, if there's one that you have in your collection or that you've seen in person that you think is amazing and should have been in the top 10, if not the number 1 spot, because there's definitely some good choices out there. Prime 1 Studios just kills it. I mean, here's a list of 30 statues. I would love to own all 30 of them because they're all phenomenally done. It's great when you have to pick which is the worst, and the worst is still one of the best ones out there. But guys, thanks so much for responding to these top 10 lists. I really appreciate it. If you haven't subscribed, hit that Mr. X logo because you're going to see all those pieces coming into the table, detailed reviews. Hit that like button on this video on your way out, and check out some of these other countdown lists. But otherwise, I will talk to you tomorrow. Take care.